This video is going to be examining the facts in the tragic killing of Ahmaud Arbery, because now that the case is gaining a lot of traction, people are making a lot of assumptions and jumping to a lot of conclusions. In this video, we're going to just examine the facts and ask ourselves some questions. So, let's start off with just the people involved. Ahmaud Arbery was a 25-year-old black man. He was unarmed and he was on foot running. And then Gregory and Travis McMichael are 64 and 34 years old respectively. They're both white and male. They were armed with a handgun and a shotgun. They were driving a truck and they were assisted by another man. It's kind of still in the works, but it looks right now like they are assisted by William Bryant, who is 50 years old and also white. The first question is, why did the McMichaels pursue Arbery in the first place? Because that's, the only reason any of this happened. And it's because they believed Arbery might be a burglary suspect. And okay, that's what they believed, whatever. So then, why did they initially get away with the killing? There's three things that people are trying to argue, and guess what? Yeah, they all are pretty bad arguments. So the first one that people are trying to use to prove that they were in their right to shoot and kill this man was Georgia's citizen's arrest law. No, they didn't witness a crime. This was all because they believed he might have done something. They did not witness a crime, so Georgia's citizen arrest law would not help them in this particular case. Next, let's look at the stand your ground law. In Georgia, it would allow the McMichaels to use force to protect themselves or a third party if they had reasonable belief that their life was in danger at the hands of another. I'm sorry. How does that make any sense? That makes no sense. It was 2 versus 1. And these 2 had guns, and the one didn't. And the 2 that had guns were also in a truck, and then the one who didn't have a gun was on foot. They approached him. They put themselves in that position. And Arbery was, if anything, protected by this law to defend himself against 2 armed men he did not know, and he did not know their intentions. Put yourself in Arbery's situation. He was being approached by 2 men he did not know who were armed and were in a truck, and now there's also a third man who was involved. He had to weigh his options, and ultimately anyone in this situation would understand they had a better chance of trying to defend themselves against these people and trying to maybe disarm them than trying to outrun a bullet. That's just the laws of nature and physics. Okay, so then let's look at the self-defense law. No, this would not help them. Self-defense law requires a proportional response, meaning a person can only employ as much force as required to remove the threat. Yeah, so what? What? That doesn't make any sense. How were they defending themselves? You're telling me 2 armed men in their 30s and 60s who are driving a truck had to defend themselves against an unarmed 25-year-old man who was on foot. And then their proportional response to defend themselves against someone they pursued was to shoot and kill them. And this was all because of a suspicion they had. Is that what you're saying? I want you to say it out loud. Think about what you're saying. And then change your mind because you sound dumb. Okay, so now that this story is gaining traction, I want everyone to think about their response to this situation. And instead of questioning whether or not Arbery had a criminal history, or was he even jogging, or he wasn't wearing jogging attire, that does not matter. It does not change the facts. And instead of pondering, why did he defend himself instead of running away? Why is race being involved? Stop it. You sound crazy. I want you to think about how crazy your response is to this tragic situation that was ignored for months. Instead of all that, what ifs and pondering, oh, what about, no. Here's two questions that should come to mind. These are two questions you should be asking yourself instead of all that other garbage. First question, when this case was initially reviewed by the police and multiple district attorney offices in February, why weren't these killers at the very least arrested and or charged for their crime? Whether or not they were in the right to do this, they still committed a crime. And then they got to just go on living their lives for over 2 months. That doesn't make sense. That is not okay. Second question. Why were these men arrested and charged with aggravated assault and murder only after a video of the incident was publicly released more than 2 months after they shot and killed Ahmaud Arbery? After the video was released, it took less than 48 hours to arrest them. On just a basic human level, if you just look at all of these facts and how they were definitely guilty and they were just, not arrested or charged, and if you see all of this and you somehow still think it's appropriate or relevant to try and vilify a man who is dead now, if you're going to say, oh, I bet he wasn't jogging, or, oh, that's not what you wear when you jog, oh, well, but here's this video of him literally just entering a construction site and then leaving it, oh, he might have done this, oh, he might have done that. That's not a normal human response to this situation. That is not normal. What is normal is to see all of this evidence and say, hey, that's not okay. And something needs to be done about it. That is a normal response. So, to anyone who continues to look for new evidence, any evidence that could come out at this point would only support this possibly being a hate crime. Because any evidence of Arbery's past misdeeds or whatever, the McMichaels didn't know about. They weren't even sure he was the guy who did the crime that might have happened, but who knows. They weren't even sure of that. So any evidence that could come out that would be relevant to this case at this point is whether or not the 3 white men involved in this could have committed a hate crime. And you know what? I think they might have. But again, I don't know that. All I'm saying is, any new evidence you're waiting for to help vilify this unarmed black man who was shot and killed is not relevant or helpful, or it doesn't matter. You gotta isolate this event. I don't care if he was arrested in 2013 for doing God knows what. Because you know what? The McMichaels did not know for a fact if he even committed the crime that they pursued him about. So that doesn't even matter. If that is still your response, please understand that is not a normal human response to this situation. Please work on that. Or if you can't work on that, please be quiet. At the end of the day, this family lost a child, okay? They lost a child and nothing was done about it for over 2 months. This family deserves justice. This man deserves justice. And these 2, and now maybe 3 men deserve to go to jail. They deserve to be punished for the crimes they committed. How does that old saying go? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. How about if you don't have anything nice, relevant, helpful, factual to say, don't say it. Be quiet.